Welcome to Quilting on the Side, the podcast for quilters who are building a business while juggling real life.
I'm Tori from Hey Tori, a quilter, past pattern designer and teacher, and now a digital marketing coach for quilting entrepreneurs.
And I'm Andi from True Blue Quilts, long arm quilter, pattern designer, and quilting instructor.
Between the two of us, we've taught workshops, launched programs, joined summits, and stayed up way too late trying to finish one more quilt binding.
On this show, we're sharing what's worked and what hasn't in our interviews from incredible guests, everyone from quilting solo business owners to CEOs.
So if you're running a quilting or creative business or dreaming about starting one, you'll find real talk, honest strategies, and a whole lot of support here.
So grab your notebook, grab your pen, and let's dive into another episode of Quilting on the Side. Welcome to another episode of Quilting on the Side. We are so glad that you have been here for season 6. 6 seasons, Tori, 3 whole years of this crazy project. How are you feeling?
I think it's been intense. This season has been our longest season. This will be our 21st episode. So yeah, our longest season after... I should have looked up how many years we've been in. How long have we been doing this? 3 years now? 2 years?
Yeah, I think we started in 2024.
That's right, 2024. So it's been a ride. How are you feeling, Andi?
I'm feeling pretty good about it. It's, we continue to get people saying that they really enjoyed the podcast, and it's become a known entity, which is always that little ego boost is wonderful. And I think we've really put out some good information for people. So that's really what makes it worthwhile, is people connecting with the topics that we're sharing. So
And our
that's
guests,
great.
we've had some wonderful guests this season. We've been able to keep a steady flow of new and returning guests coming
Mhm.
on, and they share their stories and their thoughts and their experiences, and that's just so inspiring.
Yeah, that's true. And season 6 kicked off with a bang when we had a collaboration with Brandy Maslowski from Quilter on Fire. That was a highlight.
That was definitely a highlight, having that. We tried something new with Brandy. We recorded an episode that hopefully spoke to both audiences that we could both share on each podcast. And that was really fun. And Brandy is such a wonderful human being. It was wonderful to talk to her.
Yeah, for sure. And then we had Dara on, Dara Thomason. She is a life coach for quilters. She runs a weight loss program, and she always has such wonderful advice to keep us grounded in our business and realize that, life has its ups and downs, and she gives you really good tools for going with the flow.
Definitely. I love her approach on working on your mindset first. And then what follows that is the weight loss. So I love
Yeah.
the fact that she goes into like all your feelings and how are you navigating life. And then what follows that is a healthier life. And I love that.
Yeah.
There was always
Yeah,
fun.
for sure. And we met someone new this season who I had heard about in the online space. Jamie Bright gave us like a mini master class on summits and email marketing. It was wonderful.
It was so cool to talk to Jamie. I've been watching her a little bit on everything that she's been doing, and it was so fascinating to have her on and hear about the other side, the part that you don't get to see. And then I love the fact that she came with so much information about summits because we had so many questions about it. This was, I'm not going to say new, but it's been a big thing in 2025, 2026 to participate in summits. It's been a huge list builder and a way for you to grow your business and grow the word of mouth about you, relationship marketing and all of that. So it was really cool to have Jamie on and hear about her experience and hear her advice on preparing for summits. Honestly, it's probably one of our most informative episodes when it comes to the guests we had on. We had some really cool guests, but I think that because she came with such a masterclass kind of preparation, that was a really great learning episode.
Yeah, exactly. And just like you were saying, if people take a step back and kind of analyze what she talked about as a guest, she did a wonderful job of cross promoting, telling her own story while drawing out some of your business aspects, my, you know, quote unquote product, with my half rectangle triangle. So it was,
Quote there. Like,
yeah,
quote there, Andy. You got a wonderful product. But yeah, you're right.
yeah, yeah.
She did great with a give and take.
So yeah, she beyond the information she gave, she also provided a wonderful example of a top-notch podcast guest. So, and that's not to disparage anyone else because everyone does a wonderful job. But she's definitely one of my favorite people. Um, and then we had another fabulous returning guest, our conversation with Teresa, the AI quilter.
Yes, I love hearing about what she has been hearing about. So because she is on the forefront of quilting AI and quilting and AI, I think that she hears the brunt of both the good and the bad. And having her on for the second time, now that more and more people are trying AI, more and more people are hearing about the impacts of AI and how to use it ethically. I think it was a really important conversation for 2026 for sure.
Yeah, AI has been such a big topic and it really does bring out strong emotions in people. So the more we can acknowledge those intense feelings and, try to chart a path forward, is going to be important. So I look forward to future conversations with Teresa as well.
So our next guest I had to miss. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on what stuck with you from Kathryn LeBlanc, who is a self-publishing author, and she does so much more. So um, let us know, Andy, what
Yeah.
stuck with you?
Yeah, Kathryn is another one of those people that I'm sure we've both run across in online groups. She's a force in the quilting industry. As you said, she's written a lot of books, and yeah, we just had a great conversation. I'm just amazed at how much she does. She carries a big load, and that's great. Everybody finds their own path and their own mix of things. She had really put effort into magazine designs this year. I think she had, over a dozen patterns coming out in various publications. And so she's been really busy with that. So it was fun to talk to someone who is multi-passionate and is managing to juggle so many things because I think a lot of us worry that we do have a lot of interest and we're trying to figure out how to um, get a profitable mix there. So it was fun to talk to her. And then um, we had one of our next guest was Monica from Penny Spool, um, Penny Spool Threads, Penny Spool Quilts.
Any spool quilts, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And that was really interesting finding out how she is navigating the world as a Canadian quilter because we tend to be very US centric. Unfortunately, we do have a lot of Canadian friends. We have, quilters from Europe and Australia and everybody across the world. But it was really interesting to get her perspective on building a business with some of the trade issues that we're seeing in the world right now.
Definitely. Listening to how she launched her subscription box was really cool. We did have a couple of Canadians this season. We had Brandy, who is a Canadian. We had Monica, and even in our last episode about H&H, we had Caitlin, who is also
Mhm.
Canadian but living in the U.S. So it was a really interesting conversation with Monica, who is appealing to Canadian quilters specifically with her quilt, the North Blocks, and hearing about how she's growing it, how she's working out all the kinks. And we talked about how Kathryn took on a lot, and so did Monica, like having a subscription box where she's keeping around 300 boxes per quarter that she's cranking out. It was just super impressive to hear how that journey went and everything that's going on behind the scenes with her.
Yeah, it just is such an interesting business concept. We have over the years, we have talked to a lot of long arm quilters and, of course, pattern designers, but it really shows you the variety when we talk to people that have written fiction, who are doing subscription boxes. There's so many ways to show up in the quilting world, and I think that's fantastic. Uh, After Monica, we had the chance to talk to Cindy, who is one of our early podcast followers. And so that was fun. Over the years, we've developed that relationship as she shows up for some of our Patreon events. And we've gotten to know more about her and how she's building her business around a special technique.
Yes, and we got to meet her at H&H. That was really cool to see her in person. And she's doing a lot of, it sounds like she's doing a lot of pattern design and getting
Mhm.
her name out there about her mosaic applique, right? And so that was really interesting to hear her story and how she's developed that.
Yeah, and she's done a wonderful job of brand partnership because her applique uses a special fusible. And so she's been able to develop those relationships and get that product tie in with her pattern design. So, congratulations to Cindy of Patterns on the Prairie.
And then I
Um,
was able to share Joyce's story. So Joyce likes to stay behind the scenes, but she was so gracious to answer. We went out to lunch and she answered questions for me. And then I sent her a questionnaire and I was able to kind of tell her story and share the advice that she has to give for other pattern designers on how to grow a business without using social media. Because Joyce was actually locked out of her Instagram when I met her like 2 years ago, I want to say. And so now she's been able to grow a successful pattern design business without social media at all. And it was really cool to be able to share her story.
Yeah, yeah, it really was. Lots of lessons learned in that as well. And you mentioned you told her story without her being there. We've experimented with a few solo episodes just because of the fact that we're doing this on the side, where it's just one piece of our busy lives and sometimes schedules don't mess. So I appreciate the chance for me to tell my YouTube story because that's something that I am going all in on here in 2026 and beyond. So that was fun.
Did you share about your book?
Well, I did in the episode, and I wasn't going to do a full promo here, but yes, I am putting the finishing touches on my book, Quilting on Video, so that I can share the lessons learned with other people and help them grow and monetize their YouTube channel
Yes, so look out for that because that's coming soon, listeners.
very
You want to get
soon.
on Andy's email list. You want to follow her on YouTube. You want to or subscribe to her on YouTube. Follow her on Instagram. Do all the things so you can see when Andy releases this book because it's going to be great.
I hope it is helpful to people. And then we had another fun guest that we got to meet in person in H&H, but Brooke of Brooke's Bitchin' Stitches. What a great conversation.
Yeah, she's such a warm human being, and I loved her willingness to share all the details behind the scene, exactly how she started her business with a Jeep quilt, which was one thing that she brought in all the pieces of her life. It seemed like it came in and helped her build up this business that really fits with her lifestyle and really fits on the side of working full time. And she's doing it successfully and she's doing it in a way where it protects her time and her energy. And I really admire that about Brooke and how she was able to share all of that.
Yeah, yeah, it was just a wonderful, so many lessons learned in that conversation from approaching quilt shops and, just taking an idea and developing it fully with her home state series and then her Jeep patterns that definitely fit a niche. Just lots of fun stuff from Brooke. So please go back and listen to that episode. I'm sure you'll find tidbits. The more you listen to it, that's the thing about these podcast episodes. It's always a good experience to revisit and reflect and catch all those various lessons.
Definitely. We always hear more like the second time around. But Andy, our next guest had several, and that was your H&H rapid fire when you
Hmm.
went all around the show at H&H. Do you remember anything that stood out the most about your guests that you talked to during the show?
My gosh, it was so much fun, and when I was at H&H, I actually found it easier to approach people to talk to them rather than to try and pitch my own stuff, so it was a great, conversation starter, and just so many people doing so many great things. I got to reconnect with people that I've met before, and I was able to reach out and talk to new people, big, what I consider some of the superstars that I've seen for years and years, like Laura from Slice of Pie and Krista Watson. But even talking to Barbie with her long arm pantograph business, to Beverly from Flamingo Toes was just kind of a serendipitous conversation as I was walking by. Just so many wonderful people in the quilt industry.
Yeah, what's fun is that, Slice of Pie's booth was diagonal from mine at H&H, and I was, like, fangirling from far away. I even went up to talk to the designer next to her, which I believe was her mom, and I was so nervous that I didn't even say hi to her. I was just like and she'd step back so I could talk to her mom, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, hi," like but yeah, it was really cool to see some of the big uh, someone called them celebrities, and I love that, like
Mhm.
SW celebrities, like
Yeah.
celebrities, that was so much fun to, like, hear that term and apply it to who was there, which is it was really cool, and I love the fact that you got to talk to so many people and so have so many different perspectives on the quilting industry. It's a really cool episode.
Yeah, yeah, those are always fun. And then we did our follow-up episode, um, that was really interesting to see from the variety of businesses that we all have and how we each approached this big trade show, because I shared my perspective as a product-based business. I have my ruler that I wanted to share with people. You come from the marketing coaching realm. And then we had our other friends, Brooke, who has a line of patterns, Lorene from Tourmaline and Time. She's a pattern designer. She's got some fun stuff coming up. And Caitlin, who is a tech editor in your SPI. So, yeah, it was a great panel discussion.
Definitely. I think that sharing not only pattern designers that are going, which many of our audience are pattern designers and teachers, but also hearing the outside perspective, those that support the industry. So me with my marketing and Caitlin with her tech editing. She does do tech editing outside of SVI. If you are looking for a pattern tech editor in your quilter, she is amazing. But she also does it inside SVI. And just hearing how each of us planned for it, and then what we did while we were there, and then the follow up, which we don't always get to hear about, which so many people had questions on. And I did a little town hall where I had about 15 people come, and I kind of went because it had so much interest. I did a little slideshow. So I had like I think it was about 15 minutes of just like little slides about like this is what I did at the show. So they knew what my experience was at the show. So like I taught, and then I like had the booth and stuff, and then how much I spent and all of that. And then they had so many questions. So it was so cool to be able to invite those that were from different industries, different perspectives to come in and have that deeper conversation about their experiences. Because me and you have been talking about H&H like the entire season, I feel like, because it is such a big event for the industry, especially if you're in the midst of growing and you're trying to reach more partners, more collaboration, more of those like distributor businesses, and even trying to find people to help you with your business, such as like what I do and what Caitlin does. And I really hope that our listeners got a lot from the trickle of H&H and the specific episodes about the trade show, because those can be applied not only to other trade shows, so such as H&H is coming again in the spring. I mean, yeah, it is coming again in spring. It's also opening a new show in the fall in Texas, and then we also have a brand new Crossroads in California, which is gonna be a quilt-specific trade show, and I hope it gives people an idea of what they can do there, but also a little bit at shows like QuiltCon and how you can, like, set up a booth and do little things like not little things, but things like that where you're more in person because most of what we talk about is online because a lot of our side businesses tends to be digital. So that was, I think, it was a really cool thread that we had throughout this entire season.
Yeah, and speaking of that, we've recapped all of our guests and we've mentioned a few of those other episodes, but as you said, planning for H&H was a running theme through all of our episodes, and I want to highlight a few of our other conversations that will be useful to people growing their business, like you said, for many of these other in-person events. Um, we had an episode 8 was on booth planning and brochures, some of those physical items, the tangible assets that you need. Um, we talked about approaching quilt shops and kind of that partnership between pattern design and quilt shop owners and how we can work together to benefit everybody. So that's really important. And then we had our media kit episode 14. That I think I've heard some really good feedback that people thought that was useful. So yeah, if you are wanting to reach out, if you're wanting to promote your brand, having that media kit and having those assets all in a central location, I think was the key piece from that episode.
Yeah, that was really cool to see. I saw a comment on Facebook where someone was sharing our episode about craft your pitch and about how that helped with preparing for guilds and for approaching shops. So that was really cool to see. I was like, hey, look, she found it useful. It's so
Yeah,
awesome.
that's us. As I said at the beginning, we are making an impact. So that's always um, the kind of the reason that I keep showing up is because I just want to be a cheerleader. I've taken my steps into the industry, and I think there's room for a lot more people to share their creative juices and share their work with the world.
So next season, we're going to be closing down the podcast for the summer. We're going to be running interviews though through the summer. So you'll be able to hear what happens in season 7. Oh my gosh, season 7. So we'll probably be back in August. Is that what we're planning?
Yeah, August, September. I don't know that we've set a premiere date, but definitely we will share that out through all of our channels. Um, and one thing that we didn't even highlight was our 100th episode.
Yes, we
We
did. That kind of skated by us, didn't it?
Right. We back in season 5, we talked about 75 episodes, which seemed like a lot, and now we're over 100, which is amazing. And just a little side note, pat on the back. I got an email recently saying that we were named one of the top 40 quilting podcasts. So
I saw that. It was the top 40 quilting. And I was like, that's nice, but we're not quilting. So cool.
yeah. And some of these, I'm sure there's tons of marketing agencies out there that just compile these lists, and anytime you can, yeah, and it reminds me of that Who's Who in America series that they send out to all the high school kids and like, you're in the top, blah, 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 just pay us $40 and we'll put your name in the book.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. It's interesting because our name says quilting, so quilting on the side. So a lot of people outside the industry would see that and think, "Oh, this is a quilting podcast," which we're quilting businesses, so we're adjacent. But it was cool to see that we were in the top 40. We were 39 is where we were ranked. I got the same email.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay, that's cool." Some of
Yep.
the top ones I was really proud to see, like Quilter on Fire was on
Mhm.
one of the top, I think top 5. And some of the older ones are on there that don't publish anymore. So it's interesting to see that they're still
Yeah. Yeah.
going after, even after they've, I'm sorry for any squeaking you hear in the background when I talk. That is our dog that we are dog sitting. She's adorable, but she's a little needy.
Yep, yep. Yeah, it really is interesting. You were saying that some of the podcasts on that top 40 list were no longer publishing, but as with anything on the internet, it lives on, you know, forever. And it's kind of like having a book in the library, things that are published 10, 15, 50 years ago are still being found. So hopefully our older episodes can carry on and help people launch their craft-based businesses. So,
I think
um,
that's true. I think that the episodes that we've put out and the interviews we've had, I think that there are so many tidbits that can last for a very long time. And it can inspire anyone who's building a craft business on how to build in this industry.
yeah, for sure. So as Tori mentioned, we are taking a couple months off, but we have over 100 episodes that you can go back and listen to. And we hope that that carries you through, gives you some inspiration and support as you build your business. You can find us on Patreon, on YouTube, online, and we hope to see you soon.
That's a wrap on today's conversation. We hope it gave you something real to take back to your business.
And if you liked this episode, please hit subscribe and leave us a review. It helps more quilters find the show and feel a little less alone on their entrepreneurial journey.
And if you want more support from behind the scenes content to live chats, you'll find more in our Quilting on the Side community on Patreon. And as always, don't forget to do
A little quilting on the side.